Hello, friends and lovers. This is Haelian, and we're here to talk about the first major balance patch, I would say, of Hades 2. This is a lot of balance changes. Let's get this out of the way. This is not a content update. We did not receive major chunks of content, mostly just little pieces of arts and icons here and there. This is about balances, and it's mostly touching on the aspects and the hammers and a little bit on the weapons too, and a few other very small things here and there. But let's dive right into it, because there's a lot of changes for us to go over, and there was a lot to explain. I have already played the patch for several hours. That way I can kind of explain things a little bit better for you. And don't worry, you'll still get those YouTube videos of the runs in due time. But yeah, here we go. Among the improvements in this patch, look for many new UI icons, as well as weapon-related balance changes aimed at enhancing core combat and related choices. Your feedback and volunteered gameplay data help inspire changes, so thank you for playing. Stay tuned for boon updates in our next patch. That's important. That last line, right? So they really didn't touch boons with this update. They kind of wanted to take it one chunk at a time, I would imagine, and then see how they should adjust boons, maybe. Because what they change here might mean that they change the boons differently, right? So yeah, boons are mostly untouched for this time, but don't worry, there's some changes to the hexes. And if you want to skip this video and just read the patch notes yourself, that's fine. I'll have a link for you in the description. I get it. I'm going to be going through this in a bit more painstaking way. You know, we're gonna kind of deep dive into some of this stuff, but yeah, let's try to keep things moving as best we can. So for general gameplay, here we go. You now can encounter up to one additional Olympian each night, as in the previous game. This is really interesting. You've probably heard me use the term god pool here and there, and you could only encounter 3 gods naturally in Hades 2, when you could have encountered 4 gods naturally in a run in Hades 1. I'm not certain why they started with 3, but now they've changed it to 4. I would love to hear the thought process. I'm not really sure what it is, though, honestly. How much does this change the gameplay for the average person? Not a ton, honestly. Not a ton. So now they'll keep offering you new gods until you get 4 different ones in a run, and then they're not going to naturally offer you new gods. Yes, you can get more gods by using the keepsakes or talking to Echo and getting like something from your last run and stuff like that. But let's not get too far into that. This isn't like a big deal. It doesn't make the game harder. It doesn't make the game easier. It might make it a little bit harder to get legendary boons in some ways and get specific dual boons a little bit, just because there's more gods that you could potentially run into per run basically now. You now are likely to find 1 more boon or other major reward while in Erebus. Nice. Increased vulnerability duration after your Death Defiance's effects activate. I haven't actually noticed this, to be honest. I couldn't really feel it. Couldn't really tell. It's probably minor. Improved rewards of Ash and Psyche can now be found in Oceanus and the Rift of Thessaly. You just get like double the amount in the later zones there. You can now press and hold to harvest repeatedly from the Crescent Pick outcroppings. Tula should now stay closer to you in encounters, especially in the Fields of Mourning. Nice. Nemesis no longer offers Death Defiance items if you do not need to refill the effect. Thank God for that. Sometimes you run into her in the Fields of Mourning. She drop a Death Defiance and it's useless. Doesn't do anything, right? Reduce gold cost for Selene's Boon and Path of Stars in Charon's shop. I think like this note might be a lie here, because I swear we ran into her and she still costs 150 in Charon's shop. So unless I'm crazy, I feel like that's the same price. Maybe they did reduce Path of Stars, but I don't think that's right. I don't know. Maybe I'm crazy. Minor adjustments to the order in which Olympians may first appear early on. It's only going to affect like new save files there. Normalized chances of finding fishing points in various regions. All right. So here we got some weapon stuff here. This stuff isn't massive for the most part, but there's some interesting things going on here. This is where things definitely get a bit more interesting in the patch. But yeah, there is a lot to cover, by the way. For the staff, special knocks foes away, but it's slightly slower. Omega special is faster. Yeah, you can see they're kind of targeting a specific kind of build on the staff already. I don't know if I've really noticed the knock away. I haven't experimented much with the Omega special yet, honestly, but we had a good run with the Omega attack that you'll see eventually. Sister Blades, the special staggers standard foes for longer. Attack visual effects better match the hitbox. Yeah. Doesn't really matter that much in my eyes. Umbral Flames, here we go. Torch Gang, rise up. Attacks are stronger and faster. Omega attack channels faster, uses less magic. Special gives a speed boost but has reduced damage. Omega special can be channeled while moving. Big changes, right? Big changes. This one is a bit concerning, though. Special gives a speed boost, but has reduced damage. It's interesting. It says special, not specials. Not Omega special either. So, yeah, it gives you a speed boost, huh? Yeah, I haven't really experimented that much with these quite yet, but... Yes, there are some interesting changes here, and they can tell that people don't love the torches on average, or didn't, at least. Moonstone Axe. Reworked special provides a lingering barrier. Omega attack channels slightly faster. Omega special channels faster. This charges way faster, by the way. The Omega special charges way faster, and I guess I'll just pull it up for you right now. It feels way better. The lingering barrier, it's kind of hard. Like, it doesn't really linger, but yeah, you drop it down, and that's sort of it. You don't charge the barrier anymore, and it remains up like the whole time you're doing your Omega special practically. Possibly even like the whole time strictly, honestly. So I love that change. Everything else is a bit minor there, though. Argent Skull. Omega attack channels faster and hits a larger area. Haven't been able to play much with that, but yeah, it makes sense because I don't think that the Omega attack with the skull is in a place where I'm super interested in it yet, but maybe now we will be. Maybe now we will be. All right, now we get to move on to the actual aspects themselves. So Aspect of Cersei got a pretty major reworking here. And she needed it, I think, right? Adjusted activation and duration of Serenity effect. Serenity now adds Omega bonus damage that scales with this aspect's rank. A little confusing there. Why don't we pull it up? And I think this is much better. I don't want to linger on it too much here. But yeah, now after attack or special hits 12 times, gain Serenity with your next Omega move. So if you spam out 12 specials, for instance, if I can get the 12 here, there you go. So now that's lit up. So it's not going to actually activate until I use an Omega move, and at which point I get a bunch of magic restoration and I get a bunch of Omega damage. So it can be with any of them. The thing is, Serenity only lasts for 5 seconds. It's very short. It's very short. I'm not certain this aspect is 100% great yet, but it's definitely better. It's definitely better. I can tell you that much there. Let's see. Let's move on. Momus, totally reworked. Rest in peace, Momus. Get your flowers out. You were here, June 4th, 2024. Momus, good night. Each of your Omega moves automatically fires several times in succession from where you use them. So, I actually love this change. I think it's great. Momus is not the super simple spam aspect, get an easy win on any difficulty that it was. But it is way more fun. It is way more interesting like this, honestly. I would much, even if this does turn out to be worse than the old version of the aspect, which I'm not even certain it is, I just love this idea so much more. So whenever you use your Omega moves, each fires in place up to 3 times until you use it again. The delay is 1.5 seconds between each. That might sound pretty confusing, but basically you use an Omega move, like your cast. See that red orb? It's going to trigger that Omega cast 3 times now total. And while you can only have one of each type of Omega move out at once, you can have all 3 going off at once. So you can drop an Omega special, an Omega cast, and an Omega attack, and those orbs will each go off independently. It's cool, right? So they're really incentivizing you to just use as much as you can, as many different things. Get a lot of magic regen and just spam out all the Omega moves and just make sure you got decent boons on each of them. And like, oh man, it's really cool. I really like it. Sister Blades for Artemis. You will block again if the effect recharges while you are channeling. Block now takes priority over dodge and similar effects. Not a big change, but yeah, definitely just some nice quality of life things there, I think. Umbral Flames for Eos. Totally reworked on this. It's weird, honestly. Omega attack now fires a slow shot that occasionally creates damage, blasts, and also copies your specials. This one's very confusing. This one's very confusing, and I have to show you, I think. It's very odd. Your Omega attack fires a Daybreaker that deals damage in an area around it every 2 seconds. It doesn't say how long it lasts, but it doesn't last forever. That blast damage is big, though, 200, and it scales with your attack boon. So what you'd want to do with this is to channel your Omega attack. There it is. And this thing, the Daybreaker, will copy whatever you do with your special. Oh, whoops, sorry. Let me out of there. Didn't mean to do that. Let's bring it back out real quick. And so if I use a special, it will also drop out a special, and therefore it will use your special boon in that way. It mostly does really well with the blast damage, though, I think. I did use this one, and it's a little quirky right now. It might be a little buggy. It did feel pretty decent. It's definitely pretty goofy. It's pretty funny. It normally tracks enemies, but I don't think it tracks Skelly right now for some reason. It doesn't last that long, and the hammers don't seem to be totally lining up right now. Like, I had a hammer that kind of bricked it a little bit, but yeah. It's still, I think it's more interesting than the old version. And yeah, just basically kind of creating a copy of yourself. It's interesting, right? All right, Moonstone Axe for Mel. Rework now adds power and light. This one, I'm a little more disappointed in. It's not very interesting. The old version was more interesting in my eyes. Gain bonus attack power, plus 35 for your health and your attack power. And it also kind of, it doesn't even affect your Omega attacks, unfortunately, right? It doesn't say attacks, it just simply says attack. So you just have to get one of those hammers that helps you out. And it's not a small amount of attack power, but I don't know. I guess I was hoping for something, if they were gonna change it, something more interesting. But you're gonna understand why when we look at the next one here. Why would they would change that? Aspect of Than is now reworked. Faster attack adds critical chance to Omega moves. What are they talking about here? So this one's interesting, and you might not like it when you first read it. I didn't like it when I first read it. Your attack is faster, and each hit grants mortality until you take damage. Attack speed plus 30%. That's a lot. That is a lot. If mortality reads, sorry, my head is blocking it. A fleeting bonus of plus 1% critical chance for your Omega moves, up to a max of 13%. So only your Omega moves get the additional crit chance. And if you get hit, then you lose that bonus and you have to start over. So you have to farm crit chance with your regular attack. You can see the bar next to our magic bar there, right? So it's at 6% now. And once you get there, if you get hit, you lose it all. But in the meantime, your Omega moves, attack or special, have that crit chance. 13% is really random, right? I don't know why they chose 13%. I feel like they could have rounded it up to 15 personally. So I think it's more complex than the old Thanatos version, that's for sure, where you could just whirlwind on enemies, build up the crit chance. You don't have to think about it. So they're making us use more stuff. So it's not as simple as that old aspect of Than, and therefore it's possibly not as good. However, I will say I did a run with it, and it felt good. It felt fun. It felt interesting. It's going to be hammer dependent at the end of the day, like a lot of these. Like, how good of a run you're going to have is really going to depend on what kind of hammers you get, I think. Aspect of Medea, improved hit detection on foes near impassable obstacles, not a big deal. They're probably talking about that mini boss in Oceanus. That was a pain in the ass. Aspect of Persephone, big changes here. You now earn glory much faster, but only by using your Omega cast. Improved control responsiveness during the Omega special. This one I thought sounded bad, but I think it's actually a pretty big positive. So you charge glory way faster than before. If you don't know, glory would charge from dealing any damage or hitting anything with anything, basically. You would charge up your glory. So it could be your special, your attack, whatever. But it would charge up really slow, like super, super slow. So now it charges up at a decent pace, but you have to use your Omega cast, which is a little narrow, I guess is how I would describe it, right? Like, you have to use your Omega cast to charge this, and you have to use your Omega special to reap the benefits of using your Omega cast, and that's what it looks like there. But I think it's pretty good. Remember, you're invulnerable during your Omega special. It's really powerful. Plus, you still got the passive 30% Omega move damage. I think it's actually quite good. I like that change. I like that change a lot. Moonbeam from Selene. They didn't really touch keepsakes much. It's kind of interesting that they just, I think they wanted to boost Selene a bit right away so that people would feel better about getting her hexes or something. So it simply gives you 5 instead of 3. Oh, I guess now's a good time. We'll quickly show you, because you probably haven't seen. There you go. There's the new icons for all the keepsakes. Yay. They're kind of small here. Am I right? They look weirdly small in the slots. I don't know why. But Moonbeam, you gain +5 upgrades for your hex instead of the old one, which was +3. Yeah, I mean, we've been saying it for a while now that the hex needed a little bit of love, so it makes sense that they kind of fast-track helping out the hex system, I think. All right, here comes a lot of the meat of the game, and I'll try to tell you what the old hammer did. So yeah, there are a lot of changes here, so bear with me. There's a lot to go through. I can't really demonstrate them for you here. If it's really necessary, I might pull it up, but we're probably going to try to go through it. Marauder Wallop is gone. Instead, we have Rapid Thrasher. All of your attacks become faster. It's Omega and regular, and I think it's 50%. That's a lot. I like that. I like that. Double Wallop is gone. That was the one that doubled your attack, basically, your attack hit. So instead, all of your attacks, that includes the Omega, gain power. I think it's like 30? I think. Yeah, that one's pretty good too. I like all these changes. We did a run where we were able to make some uses of them. Double Cataclysm is gone. I'll miss that one. That one made your Omega attack hit twice. Instead, we have Mirrored Thrasher. All of your attacks hit twice, but you take more damage. I believe it's 30% more damage. But it's nice that all these now affect your Omega attack as well as your regular attack. Because I do think the staff had this problem where you were kind of stuck choosing like, oh, I guess I have to use the attack a lot now or something like that. You know what I mean? Rapid Moonshot also affects the Omega special. Yet again, kind of nice. Dual Moonshot. So it's replaced Double Moonshot, apparently. Also affects Omega special. Reduced range, renamed from Double Moonshot. So let me pull that one up because it's probably important if you've used the old Double Moonshot there, right? It's probably important, but you can pull all these up in your codex if you want to, by the way. Let me see. Dual Moonshot, your specials fire 2 projectiles but have minus 40% range. It's a lot less range. I can't really demonstrate it for you, but it still exists there. You know what I mean? It does still exist, interestingly. And it's kind of nice that they give you the flexibility that it affects the Omega special now, I think. Shimmering Moonshot also affects the Omega special now. That one bounces between enemies, I believe, with your special. Etheric Moonburst. Increased magic restoration from power shots. Yeah, I think this used to be... You could get a power shot with your Omega special. And you get... I think you deal more damage, but you also restore some magic. But it was only 5 before. It was very little. Now it's 20. It's a lot. So you could basically have infinite magic if you just keep spamming power shots. Interesting, huh? Concentrated Flurry for the blades is gone. That one, you got more power for each hit with your Omega special, I believe. Instead of now, we have Melting Dart. Your special destroys a large percentage of a foe's armor. Yeah, not very exciting, but I understand it. Flick Knives. Your Dash Strike also fires several special knives in a fan pattern. That one sounds fun. I haven't been able to try that one yet. But that sounds fun, doesn't it? So you might want to Dash Strike around a lot? Yeah, I'll have to see what that feels like, but it sounds really cool. Rapid Onslaught, reworked to also affect Omega attack, renamed from Marauder Slice. Okay, so Marauder Slice was you just hold down the attack button and you would never use your Omega attack. I guess I actually got to pull this one up because I actually don't know what it looks like, to be honest. So let's take a quick peek here. Oh, so you got 3 specials from that one. Yeah. Rapid Onslaught, your attacks are 35% faster. Oh, okay, I understand now. So both you'll channel 35% faster, or your regular attack will be 35% faster. That sounds pretty good. 35% is a lot. I actually like that one. I like the sound from that. Hook Knives, removed damage bonus, slightly reduced a speed of knives returning to you. Oh no. Oh no. They removed the damage bonus? I don't remember that. Slightly reduced speed of knives back to you. I kind of got to read that one too. So yeah, now they pierce through enemies. And I guess they're a little slower coming back to you. I don't know if that part's bad, but you don't get the backstab damage anymore. They were really strong, to be fair. They were really strong. Fierce Fire is gone. Instead, we got Mega Spark. All your attacks travel further and deal more damage. I don't know how much I care about my attacks on the torches going further, personally, but I don't know. We'll see. Inverted Spark. Dash to make shots from attacks reverse directions and hit foes again. So this is kind of like the old aspect of EOS where your flames will basically come back. Your ghost will come back to you if you dash, interestingly. So might be kind of cool, might be useful. Let in Spark, your attacks knock foes away and have bonus power. That one might be pretty decent too. Depends how much power they get. I guess we can take a quick peek at that. I know. Let's see. Mega Spark. Your attacks fire 20% further and deal 30% more damage. 30% is kind of a lot. I don't know what to pull up here. Because there's like too many things. Oh, plus 10 power. That's pretty good because you do fire quite rapidly, honestly. I think that one's not bad. It's kind of hard to say. It's hard to say without playing with it a bit, you know. Sustained Spark also increases move speed instead of reducing formerly sustained fire. That's kind of a weird one, because sustained fire was like reduced your move speed by like 70%. Now it increases your move speed. I guess people just hated that one, you know? I mean, it sounded really bad. Melting Coil no longer fires straight, also affects Omega Special, formerly Melting Comet. So yeah, this used to be when you used your special, it would fire in a straight line and destroy armor or something like that. So now they got rid of the straight line, and it works with your Omega Special, so pretty good. Origin Coil also affects the regular special now, so I think that makes it so your specials just kind of stay in place wherever you use them now. Rapid Slash for the axe, I think this was you attack 30% faster or something. Reworked to also affect Omega Attack, renamed from Marauder Slash. Yeah, probably. So your attacks are now probably 30% faster. Giga Cleaver, remove 2-stage channeling. It always double fires, but uses more magic. This stuff is interesting because whenever you usually add an effect, like you can channel more magic to make something happen in this game, it takes longer to make that happen. So they buffed this to make it quicker, essentially. Dashing Heave, removed a damage bonus. Instead, it now hits twice. That might be pretty good, honestly. Hitting twice in any game, any of these Hades games, is usually very, very, very strong. Sidelong Crash, cut from the game but replaced with your specials travel further and deal more damage. That's or not. I don't know how much I care about the specials traveling further. Colossus Driver was already a really strong hammer for the skull, but now it also affects your Omega Special. So that ups the power of your specials now. It's really good. All right, moving on to Selene. Wow. All right, so we got some buffs here. There's one nerf in here, interestingly. Wolf Howl, reduced magic spend requirement. It's only like 40 now. It's crazy. It's honestly crazy. It's so cheap. It's ridiculously cheap. Of course, it's still not great. I mean, you can spam it out a lot, but I don't know. I'm not in love with it. Twilight Curse, greatly reduced the magic spend requirement. Reduced foes afflicted, reduced cast time. So this was up to 10 foes can be turned into sheep. So now it's a few less foes, but they reduce the magic for it a lot, which I think makes sense. They should reduce the cast time of all these a lot, I think. Night Bloom, reduced a magic spend requirement, effect duration, bonus damage, and cast time. Night Bloom was the summon, when you summon a dead enemy to help you out, right? So this one's kind of hard to say. I kind of didn't love it already, personally. I know it could be abused in some ways, but I don't know. I do think it's a wise idea to reduce all these magics, personally, for the most part, for all these moves. Lunar Ray, greatly reduced magic spend requirement, reduced damage, reduced cast time. Yeah, the cast time is brutal on some of these, right? Trying to use some of these hexes against Kronos is almost impossible, because he's just gonna bonk you while you're in the middle of casting, because he's immune to the slowdown from the cast. Moonwater, easily the best hex, or was, slightly increased magic spend requirement, slightly reduced healing. It's fair. It's fair. It's fair, I get it. Dark Side, this one I'm surprised about. Slightly increased magic spend requirement, slightly reduced cast time. I have not enjoyed Dark Side so far, so I'm kind of surprised that it's getting a nerf, but they must know something that we don't out there, you know what I'm saying? They must know something we don't. Okay, Kronos, various fixes and adjustments. There should be fewer cases where he's patently unfair. It's hard to really know exactly what they're talking about here, but that fight definitely has some weird stuff going on with it. Things that don't really always make sense as far as I can tell. So let's hope that they fix some of that stuff. Zerby, minor adjustments to some attack patterns in the first phase. Not really certain what that entails. Eris, grenade attacks no longer wildly bounce around. So yeah, when Eris would do like the grenade launcher effect and the red circles will appear on the ground, sometimes they'll bounce off the walls in the arena actually, and it'll change the trajectory of where they're going to land suddenly, and you get thrown off guard because you didn't really know that. I guess they're fixing that now. Polyphemus, reduce effectiveness of the mutant sheep. Everyone hated the sheep in that fight, right? Gold Wrath, reduced accuracy and tracking of beam attack. I think this is the mini boss in Tartarus, the big money bag. So they basically nerfed that mini boss a little bit. Queen Lamia, who's a mini boss in Morning Fields. Slightly increased armor, increased speed, and other minor changes. Yeah, that mini boss usually goes down very quickly, but she's also kind of annoying if you're not capable of doing it. She attacks very quick. Reed Stalker, increased projectile speed and target distance, reduced rotation speed. I think this is the mini boss in Erebus, but I'm not positive. The one that shoots at you all the thorns, right? I'm not 100% on that one. Mourner, slightly increased rotation speed, slightly increased speed while attacking. I think those are the fisticuff guys in the Fields of Mourning. Lamia, which is like the regular version of this mini boss, slightly increased life and elite armor. Dire Shambler, reduced tracking speed between attacks. I'm not 100% what this enemy is. Hippo, that's from Oceania. Self-destruct area should more closely match the visuals. Yeah, when you kill like the blue, I guess, hippos, they would have a death rattle that makes them blow up at the end there. So, I don't know, I guess it just matches better now. Level design and environments. Driftwood resources are more common in the Rift of Thessaly. So even further, they've made driftwood easier to get, apparently. Burning oil slicks in the Rift will extinguish after encounters, though may be reignited. Adjusted oil slicks in some locations in the Rift, minor fixes to several locations. Yeah, I guess people really didn't like the oil slicks that much, huh? From the Fatalist, clearing original sins no longer requires choosing a very rare Baron curse from Chaos. So, yeah, the Fatalist for Chaos required you to get an extremely rare curse. I think it was possible, though, but it was just incredibly rare. I'm not 100%. But I guess now, basically now you can complete Chaos's prophecy there. Chaos Trials. Trial of Heartache, reduced difficulty and adjusted based on aspect changes. That was the trial that you had to use. Ooh, it was one of the torches. I don't remember which. Trial of Haste, reduced difficulty adjusted based on aspect changes. Oath of the Unseen. Oh, this one's big. This one's kind of big. And it goes against a lot of advice I've been giving for how to get certain things. This is probably one of the bigger overall changes. Weirdly, you wouldn't think so, because it's just a vow, right? But here we are. Vow of Forsaking no longer helps ensure you quickly get duo and legendary boons. So this one's kind of hard to explain, but I understand what it did now. That might not make sense on the outset, but let me like pull up, in case you don't know what Vow of Forsaking is. It is a fear setting here, and we've been using it to abuse the fact that you can banish boons that you don't take, and therefore you can force duo and legendary boons to appear with it. So what does it do? After you choose a boon, 2 unpicked blessings will not appear again this night. And so you could thin out the pool of boons from a specific god really quickly and basically make it super easy to get legendaries or duo boons. Legendaries like Apollo's in particular. So now, how did they make it so it doesn't help? Well, now you still, the game has to roll a check to see if you actually hit a legendary or duo boon normally. It used to be that if you were out of boons to get from that god, then you were guaranteed to get those things. In Vow of Forsaking, make that really easy to do. But now with Vow of Forsaking, you actually have to pass the check, which is only like, I don't know, it's like 10% for duo boons or something like that normally. You have to actually pass that 10% check to trigger the duo boon. And if you don't pass that check, even if there's no other boons to offer you, it'll just offer you nothing instead. So in other words, let's say you got 2 regular boons from Apollo left and the legendary offered. And the legendary possible. There's only 3 boons left from Apollo, right? 2 of them regular boons, 1 of them's the legendary. And you're capable of seeing the legendary. You have to roll that check, and you have to pass it. Otherwise, it's only going to show you 2 boons, basically, in the window. That's it. Nothing else. And if you don't pass that check and you have no other boons possible, you just get what they call spare wealth, which is 90 gold, and that's it, I'm afraid. So that one's tough. It's too bad. But at the end of the day, this is a vow. It is a fear setting. It's meant to make the game harder. And even then, it's still a very easy, even with this change, it's an incredibly easy fear to get along with. It shouldn't really benefit us, but I will kind of miss it at the same time. I'm going to kind of miss it. All right, we're kind of past all the big stuff, but we're still going to go over it. But yeah, if you're tired of hearing my voice, I understand. But we'll talk about some of the other changes, and I'll give my thoughts at the end of the video about the balance changes that we've seen here in a overall sense too, okay? Added many new UI icons for keepsakes, weapons, Well of Karen offerings, and more. Insight into offerings from the Cauldron now also lets you check out Olympian's list of offerings in the Book of Shadows while choosing their boons. That one's kind of wordy, but what they're trying to say is you can open the codex while looking at boons now, finally. They had to change some some buttons with it to make that happen. But yeah, thank God for that, right? Added a warning when you are down to your last use of the Death Defiance. Opening the Book of Shadows should show entries for nearby characters more reliably. Removed the unused grasp notification when exiting the Altar of Ashes while at a high grasp limit. Updated pitch black stone screen to use aspect specific icons. Adjusted input action bar layout at the bottom of the boon screen and similar. Added borders to icons for Seleni's hexes on the Gifts of the Moon screen. Added informational pop-up when using F10 to report bugs, some minor changes. Reduce some full screen flashing or strobing, such as from time slow effects. That's really good, especially when we were spamming the special button a lot with something like Aspect of Momus. It would cause the slowdown effect from the sorcerers to get triggered really, really often. So I'm glad that they were able to help with that. Alright, added sound effects for when certain active abilities such as Serenity are ready to use. Updated placeholder sound effects for various keepsakes. Updated sound effects for projectile collisions with umbral flames from Mora. So I actually haven't tested that one out yet. Unique voice lines that should play more reliably when certain incantations are revealed in the Cauldron. Added voice lines when using the phase shift versus Chronos, or at least you're trying to. More voice lines should play when confiding in Freenos on certain contexts. Very cute. Here we go. While brooding over the family portrait in the crossroads, you may now snap out of it sooner. Understand that change, honestly. You now can fully control the game using keyboard only if you rebind the attack and the special. Interesting one there, honestly. All timers now pause while in the presence of Charon. This is actually kind of a bigger change that I didn't expect to see. But if you're in a shop in Hades 2 now, the timer will pause. So if Charon is in the room, the timer will be paused. That didn't happen in Hades 1. I'm kind of surprised. I'm definitely glad for it. I don't really enjoy having to constantly pause the game in order to work around a tight deadline, now called Vow of Desperation, right? I don't like doing that. I'm sure y'all don't like watching me doing that either. You know what I mean? So hopefully now I'll break that habit, at least in the shops. You know, it's not going to be everywhere, but hopefully I can break that habit soon and that'll feel much better, right? An Anvil of Fates will no longer be offered in Tartarus if you have not found a Daedalus hammer. That makes sense, honestly, because you can't use the Anvil if you don't have a hammer. In the Hades flashback, adjusted timing of hint for players. Yeah, that's nothing really. Reduced requirements for the incantation power to pause and reflect to be revealed. I think that's... It's an incantation that allows you to pause during the Chronos fight, basically. Mel now responds in the center of her magic circle. She was a little off before. Improved compatibility with more types of controllers. Updated text for various upgrades and abilities. Alright. We're onto just bug fixes, but some of this stuff kind of makes sense. Like, some of this might actually be, I don't know if important really here, but it's kind of nice to get this insight, you know? So there is still some more to read. Fixed double up, sometimes doubling mystery boons. Clarified the description too. I should check out the description for that soon. Yeah, because the description for double up is kind of weird, where they don't necessarily tell you you can get more palms or max health, honestly. Fixed nightmare resources dropping unexpectedly in Chaos Trials. Fixed Omega moves occasionally becoming unresponsive after being chomped by Polyphemus. I never encountered that. Fixed deadliest attack of Chronos occasionally hitting when Mel was in a supposedly safe point. I've had that happen. Fixed Umbral Flames attack preventing magic generation before channeling the Omega attack. That's kind of a big one for the torches. So one of the really bad things about the torch attack was the fact that whenever you're holding down the attack button, you didn't regenerate magic. Now you do, at least before you actually get to the Omega attack. So at least it's a little something, you know? I think they should probably go even further than that with it personally, but yeah, it's a step at least. Fix the Queen and Judgment Arcana appearing active while no other Arcana are active. That one kind of confused me, but basically you can turn off all the cards now. The Hearth Gain from Hestia no longer restoring magic if chosen as a sacrifice boon. Don't really... I never encountered that problem, so I don't know. Fixed certain later Oath Testaments for the Sister Blades sometimes not appearing as expected. Yeah, ran into that. Fixed cases where you could go out of bounds using the Argent Skull in the battle versus Chronos. Fixed more cases of some visual effects versus Chronos lingering between phases or after the fight. Yeah, seen that. Fixed to unceremoniously vanishing after you vanquish Chronos. Fixed additional issues with Sun Worshipper, Dark Side, Twilight Curse. A visual issue with Hecate could appear to slide after snared by your cast. I've seen that one. Spark of Ixion, causing a Chaos Gate to appear in Asphodel? Someone got that to happen? That's kind of cool. I never saw that happen. Fixed golden bows, sometimes not marking all available rewards in the fields of mourning. Fixed several narrative events. Fixed Odysseus rather rudely walking away while in conversation with Nemesis. Fixed Heracles sometimes leaping away forever. Fixed Mel's voice reverting during her return sequence despite certain Cersei enchantments. Fixed incorrect echo portrait in the Book of Shadows. Fixed incorrect music playing in some Chaos Trials. Rare cases of looping sound playing indefinitely. Rare instance when objectives in the training grounds could overlap. Several minor issues on the victory screen. Additional miscellaneous issues when playing in ultra wide. Rare crash in which the effect of winter harvest could repeat forever. Various other crashes, several attacks, other minor fixes. Yeah, I haven't really run into much else than what's listed here. It's always tough for a developer to post a big list like this, though, and usually some things get missed. The one thing I did happen to notice was the fact that they renamed Double Strike from Zeus to Second Strike randomly, right? I know, that's the one little thing that I've happened to notice. But yeah, that's it. I mean, so what do I think about these changes? I think a lot of them are really good. I think there's like a couple ones I was just like, I'm kind of just curious about. I don't totally understand. But I think for the most part, these are all really good things, and they focused in the right places, I think. I don't think many things got passed up that we were expecting to get changed. A lot of people were like, oh, I can't believe Born Gain from Hera didn't get nerfed yet, the magic regen. But they're going to do a pass at boons in the next balance patch. But in terms of the weapons, the aspects, and especially the hammers, my god, the hammers really got changed. I like the changes for the most part. I think like the only one that sticks out to me that feels odd is the Melax. Well, it's not weird, but it's just not exciting, you know? I like exciting stuff, you know? What can I tell you? But I love the changes to Persephone. I think I like the changes to Thanatos. Eos is really interesting. Momus is really interesting. Cersei, I'm not 100% convinced that it is interesting, but it's okay. I love the changes to the staff hammers in particular. I think those feel way more interesting, and they're not so, I guess, niche or narrow is the term for that. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to trying out some of this stuff. And they took a step in the right direction with the hexes, I think, too. Definitely letting us use them more often is the right thing, for sure. They might want to consider doing a lot more for the hexes still in my mind, but who knows? Maybe just a little bit at a time is a good idea for something like that. You don't want huge sweeping changes like that. But yeah, if you got questions, let me know. If you want to know my opinion, if you just want to know about specific changes, if I didn't explain something well, feel free to ask in the comments. I appreciate y'all for sitting through such a long patch note read through here, but I appreciate you. Thank you so much for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.